Scorched Earth came out recently on Ark Survival Ascended, but of course I can't play the game normally, so I'll be surviving 100 days on hardcore mode. This will be an even harder challenge for me as I never played it back in the day on Ark Survival Evolved. Day 1. This was probably my 20th attempt, so I wanted to try something different. Instead of rushing to a new base location, I'd prepare first so I was more ready. I started off by getting some tools and some cloth armor which would protect me from the heat. While exploring, I found a safe area which I would set up a temporary base. There was also a river nearby which was perfect. I also upgraded my base to wood so it wouldn't be destroyed in one hit. For some reason I skipped making spears and went straight to making a bow for protection. I also made a boomerang as they're actually pretty good at knocking out dinosaurs. The bow came in handy as I used it to kill a Morellatops for the hide. I could now finally make bowlers which would give me a chance against fighting against raptors. I also made hide armor as cloth armor is absolute trash. My first sandstorm came and they're actually so annoying because it causes me to have to sit in my base for about 10 minutes. I killed this bug thing because apparently they drop a lot of silk which I needed to make a tent. And yes, it did give me a lot of silk. I was going to tame this raptor but it was level 10, so I killed it instead. While exploring, I 1v1 this Jeroboa and took its child as my own. I was still looking for teams, so when I found this direwolf I tried to knock it out, but instead I accidentally killed it. However, I finally got lucky and knocked out a level 135 raptor. I was obviously very creative at the time, as I ended up calling him Rab. Once I got back to base, my Jeroboa was grown up so I could now take him on my shoulder. At this point though, I had no idea which any of the signals meant. I found another raptor which I tamed for the pack bonus. I can't lie, the sandstorms look great in this game, no matter how annoying they are. At least now I had a tent to sit in. I kidnapped another baby to add to my collection. I finally made a saddle so I could go exploring with my raptors. I went out trying to find some metal, but I found absolutely nothing the whole time except one explorer note. Also, this happened.
Oh my god, why's my raptor jumped off the cliff? Oh my god.
I swear they said they updated the AI in this game. I ended up getting my raptor back, but I got lost. I also tamed this direwolf which you will never see again. I got back to base and went straight out to find some metal as I needed this for a smithy. However, this place is well guarded so I had to be very careful. This time I did actually find some metal, but a heatwave came. I was panicking as this heatwave was killing me really quickly and my raptor was not following me. But from that metal run, I gained 11 levels which I all pumped into fortitude. I just about survived but that was way too close. But now I finally had the metal to make a smithy. I got straight to making desert armor so I would not die from the heat. Also made a mortar and pestle so I can make some narcotics and clay. I needed clay for adobe structures so I'd need to harvest a lot of cactus sap. With all that grinding, I ended up making one foundation, so I need to find another way to do this. With the metal pick, I could get myself a lot more metal, but I wanted to find a new location as the last place was pretty dangerous. And this new area was definitely a lot better. A sandstorm obviously had to come at the worst moment, as when I was coming back to base, a rock golem appeared, but I could not run because of this sandstorm, so I was basically just walking away. But I still obviously survived. With the metal, I ended up making myself 2 crossbows as they're a lot better than bows. Okay, so I was being a bit stupid. I tried trapping this kangaroo but I was using the wrong thing. So I ended up knocking out anyway, but I realised I don't even have rare mushrooms, so I couldn't even tame it anyway. Moving on, I found this supply drop but it was very trash. When I was exploring before, I found this, but I thought it was crystal, but it wasn't, it was salt. So once again I'm being stupid. I tamed a thorny dragon as apparently they're better at getting wood, and I would need a lot of wood throughout the game. I also need a lot of stone in the game, so once again I kidnapped another innocent baby. The saddle was cheap so I could make it straight away. This made gathering stone and sand way less grindy. My thorny dragon was finally tamed and I called him Dragon D's. Before I start to move base I'm gonna need an RG to help me, so I went up the mountain and built an RG trap.
Oh!
Somehow, I found the high level RG on my first try, and I got it knocked out on my trap. After a long wait of watching it as I didn't want it to get killed, it was finally tamed. With this RG, I could finally farm crystal and not soul. I also got a saddle for my Morellatops, and they are great for getting berries. The area around the base location I wanted to go to wasn't that safe, so I crafted some spikes to put around the area so I could build safely. So I got there and started placing them down. I got this drop, what I thought was trash at first, but then I realised it was Behemoth Gate, which I wanted to craft anyway, and it actually fitted perfectly with the area. I went on another mail run, but this time it was so much easier as I could just use my RG to fly up to the mountains. With the mail, I finally could get myself a saddle for my thorny dragon, and it can get so much wood. It was now finally time to move my dinosaurs to the new base location, and luckily there were no problems. I placed down a water well, which is actually one of the main reasons I made the base here. I placed down some adobe foundations and started transferring my resources to my new base. Now it was time to fully actually make my base. I also put the Bob's Tools Tail skin packs on everything, including my armor. Building the base kinda got a bit boring, so I opened up a supply drop, but once again I got absolutely nothing. By the next day I had finally finished the base. The outside of the base wasn't completely finished, but I wanted to do something else. I now needed to build a gate around the base. Annoyingly, this wasn't that fun, it was basically the same thing, just grinding, but it had to be done. The days were starting to feel really slow, so I went into the settings and realised they were too slow. So it was basically about 2 hours per day, so I turned it down so it would be an hour per day. So technically I'm on day 10, but that doesn't matter. Technically it's actually making it harder for myself because I have to survive 100 days, so I'm making it harder for myself, so it's not cheating. Anyway, after that I got a red drop, and it actually wasn't that bad, as it gave me metal behemoth gates which I could demolish for resources. Now that I had tons of metal, I could finally make myself a long neck rifle. I also started making some gunpowder, as a gun isn't that useful, like without any ammo. After this I went straight back to farming stone, as I still had tons of gates to make. But of course there had to be a sandstorm. This game hates me. After the sandstorm I actually found a pretty good supply drop. I also had finally finished the gateway, now I just had to make the gates. They're not as expensive, thank god, so I got them done pretty quick. The next thing I wanted was a fabricator, cause I wanted some industrial stuff. This would allow me to make electronics, but I needed silica belts for that, so I went out searching. These things just blended into the ground, so I'd have to wait until night time. While I was waiting for it to be night time, I started looting some supply drops. Now that it was night time, it was so much easier to see the silica pearls, and I ended up farming all the way to the morning. When I returned, I decided to go exploring for some reason, and I encountered this death worm. I also found the church cave as well, which I don't go into in this video. I need to actually make some progress, so I need some gasoline for my fabricator. For some reason, I forgot how to make it and tried doing it in a cooking pot, but I figured that out. I finally could make a generator, and I made a windmill to go with it, and it actually looks pretty cool. My base was starting to look a bit boring, so it needed an upgrade. The next day I also put a skin on my gateways, and it took until night time to actually finish the base. Well, not really, because the next day I completely changed it. For what I wanted next, I needed some organic polymer, so I went out and killed some mantises. For some reason I decided to just watch this dinosaur, don't know why. When I got back, I made this trap in my base, in case I found any high level dinosaurs. Okay, so the reason I got the organic polymer was for an oil rig, as getting oil bugs was very tedious. I had to fly across the map to actually place it down, but while I was out there I wanted to tame a high level philo. This was going to take a long time, so I got some supply drops while I was out there, and somehow got myself an ascending philo saddle. I swear all my luck ran out after that drop because I could not find myself high level until this happened.
Level 130!
If you couldn't tell, I was kinda happy and managed to get him knocked out. But of course, Pigeon had to ruin it and hit the philo, so I punished him.
Oh, you mix of that. Bad boy.
The philo eventually tamed and I brought him back to base. I then took it out for a test ride to level it up. After, I found this high level anklo which I wanted to tame, so I brought it back to the trap I made earlier. It was taking forever to tame, so this inspired me to make some kibble. For this I'd need some vegetables, so I needed to make a greenhouse. I also found these really good loot drops with a Ascended Rex saddle and a good crossbow. I then built this nice looking greenhouse, and then got it irrigated, which took me to the next day. After all of that, I checked on my oil rig, but of course it made literally nothing. But I brought my anklo, so it wasn't a complete waste of time. I did another supply drop run, as I can, and then went out to farm some more silica pearls as I was starting to run out. I was just doing a lot of farming as the industrial structures are very expensive. I went out looking for organic polymer, but ended up finding some in the supply drop. That was good because a sandstorm was coming, so I couldn't go looking for mantises. but as soon as it was over I went straight back out to get some more. I then used this to make a chem bench. I made the chem bench before an industrial forge because I needed a lot of cement and paste and it's a lot more efficient at making it. Annoyingly, the industrial forge is extremely expensive, so it's going to take me a while to get this. I ended up finding this new treasure map which is new in the game, and they are a bit pay to win. Okay, so I was a bit bored and I wanted some Rexes. So I spent the night looking for a high level Rex to get. The Rex location were near my oil pump, so I wanted to go check it and there was actually a ton in there. At this point I actually had to go, so I didn't end up finding a Rex. So I ended up returning to base, but I did make a toilet as well. When I got back I went straight to looking for Rexes again. And I actually found an okay one, which I definitely got trapped first try. I realised I needed to actually get it back to base, so I went back and started crafting some cryopods. I went back as I realised it needed to make a cryo fridge. This is kinda random, but this mirror caused my frame to drop in half. Anyway, I went back to my Rex and got it tamed, and gave it the best name possible. And when I got back I obviously had to give it a test ride. If I wanted to beat the Manticore, I would obviously need more than one Rex. So I went back out and found another high level. While it was taming, I went on a supply drop run, and found some pretty good stuff. But once again, Pigeon thought it was a good idea to hit my team again, so I had to punish him. I had to wait through a sandstorm, but it did eventually tame. On my way back, I did actually get another good drop. But anyway, my aim was to get an industrial forge. By night, my final resource I needed to get was organic polymer. I found a death worm on the way and decided to kill it, and it did actually drop some organic polymer. But that was all I was getting because there were no mantises spawning. Like, I was looking around for about 20 minutes and nothing was there. So I had to resort to making polymer, which was very grindy. A red drop spawned close by and it gave me a shotgun, which I needed for the caves. But anyway, I finally got the industrial forge crafted and placed down. Okay, so this is the last of my footage because guess what, it got corrupted. What I did in these days was get the artifact of the gatekeeper and tame some Rexes. But you may be wondering, why did it corrupt? Basically, my game decided to crash while I was flying around for ages, and when I loaded back in, I was just dead on the floor. And this caused me to slam the power off. I did this to try and make it roll back, but all it did was corrupt my recording. You may be thinking, well, I failed the challenge. Well, nah, because it's cheating, that's cheating. I didn't die, it was a glitch. So I got my character back through commands, and the last day was spent getting most of my stuff back. This is kind of why I'm only doing 25 days at the moment. If this does well, I'll do the full 100 days next. So anyway, thanks for watching, and bye!